I sat alone in my empty apartment, staring at divorce papers I never saw coming. 3 years of marriage to Diana, 3 years of what I thought was happiness ended on a Friday morning without warning. She handed me the envelope, said she needed space, and walked out with a packed suitcase. No explanation, no chance to talk, just gone. I tried everything to find her, but Diana had vanished completely. 4 months passed, and I learned to live again. Then one Saturday night I came home to find her standing at my door, desperate and broken. Before we dive into what happened next, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe, because what I am about to share will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about trust and second chances. Diana and I met 5 years ago through mutual friends at a barbecue in Seattle. She worked in marketing, full of energy and laughter that filled every room she entered. I was a software engineer, quieter, but drawn to her brightness. We dated for 2 years before getting married in a small ceremony by the water. Our life together felt simple and good. We lived in a modest apartment near downtown, nothing fancy, but it was ours. I worked from home most days while Diana went to her office. Our routine was comfortable. We cooked dinner together on weeknights, tried new recipes on weekends, watched movies curled up on our old couch. We talked about having kids someday, maybe in a few years when we felt more settled. Money was tight sometimes, but we had each other, and that felt like enough. Looking back now, I can see when things started to shift. About 6 months before everything fell apart, Diana began coming home later than usual. 2 or 3 nights a week, she would text, saying she had to stay for a meeting or finish a project. I never questioned it. She seemed tired when she got home, less talkative over dinner. I assumed work was stressing her out. She spent more time on her phone, too, scrolling through messages with a slight smile I could not quite read. When I asked about her day, she gave short answers. Nothing felt dramatically wrong, just slightly off, like a picture hanging crooked on a wall. I told myself, every marriage goes through phases. I believed we were solid enough to weather whatever this was. 3 months before she left, the distance between us grew more obvious. Diana started traveling for work, or at least that is what she told me. Once or twice a month she would pack a small bag and head to another city for conferences or client meetings. She stopped cooking with me. Most evenings she ate quickly and went to bed early, saying she was exhausted. Our weekends changed too. She made plans with friends I had never met, spending Saturdays away from home. I tried everything I could think of to reconnect. I made her favorite meals, surprised her with flowers, suggested weekend trips to the mountains. She thanked me each time, but her gratitude felt mechanical, like she was reading lines from a script. I felt her slipping away, but had no idea how to hold on. Part of me was scared to push too hard, worried I might force her to admit something I was not ready to hear. That Friday morning arrived like any other, except it was not. I woke up at 7 to find Diana already dressed, sitting at our kitchen table with her hands folded. The apartment felt unusually cold. She looked at me with eyes that held no warmth, no recognition of the years we had shared. Without a greeting, she slid a manila envelope across the table. My heart dropped before I even touched it. Inside were divorce papers, professionally prepared, every line filled out, except for my signature. I stared at the words, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. This could not be real. I looked up at her, searching her face for some explanation, some sign that this was a mistake. She sat perfectly still, waiting. I finally found my voice. "Diana, what is this? What is happening? We can talk about whatever is wrong." She shook her head slowly. "There is nothing to talk about, Clement. I cannot do this anymore. I need to move on." The coldness in her tone shocked me more than the papers themselves. This was not the woman I married, not the person who used to laugh at my terrible jokes and fall asleep holding my hand. I begged her to explain. "Did I do something wrong? Can we try counseling? Just tell me what I can fix." She stood up, picking up a suitcase I had not noticed by the door. "I already packed. I need space. Do not try to find me." Then she walked out, closing the door behind her with a soft click that somehow felt louder than a slam. I stood frozen in our kitchen for what might have been minutes or hours. My hands shook as I read through the papers again, hoping I had misunderstood. But no, Everything was clear. She wanted out, and she had planned this carefully. I grabbed my phone and called her. It went straight to a message saying the number was no longer in service. I tried texting. The messages showed as undelivered. She had blocked me, cut off every way I had to reach her. Panic set in. I called her best friend, a woman named Ashley, who had been in our wedding. Ashley sounded genuinely surprised and said she had not heard from Diana in weeks. I reached out to other friends. Nobody knew where she was. I even called Diana's parents in Oregon, but they were frantic too, saying their daughter had not returned their calls in days. After a week of hitting dead ends, I went to the police. The officer listened patiently but explained there was nothing they could do. Diana was an adult who had left voluntarily. There were no signs of foul play. She had taken her things, left a legal document, and made it clear she wanted to leave. Unless I had evidence she was in danger, they could not file a missing person report. I walked out of that police station feeling completely helpless. My wife had vanished, and nobody seemed to think that was strange. 2 weeks after she left, I was cleaning out the closet, trying to keep my hands busy so my mind would not spiral. In the back corner behind some old shoes, I found Diana's old laptop. She must have forgotten it when she packed. I knew I should not look. Part of me wanted to respect her privacy even now, but I was drowning in questions, and maybe this could give me answers. I opened it up. She was still logged into her email. My cursor hovered over the inbox for a long moment before I clicked. What I found destroyed me in a way the divorce papers had not. There were dozens of emails between Diana and someone named Troy starting 8 months earlier. I read them in chronological order, watching my marriage fall apart through someone else's words. The early messages were friendly, professional even. Troy worked in finance, seemed successful and charming. By the 3rd month, the tone had shifted. They were meeting for coffee, then lunch, then drinks after work. The messages became intimate. Diana wrote about feeling alive again, about how Troy made her feel seen in ways she had not felt in years. She complained about our life, calling it boring and predictable. She said I was a good person, but that we had grown into roommates rather than lovers. Troy promised her excitement adventure a fresh start. The most recent emails laid out their plan. Troy told Diana he would take care of everything. They would move to California together, start fresh where nobody knew them. He had money connections, could give her the life she deserved. Diana wrote back saying she would handle the divorce quickly and cleanly, then come to him. The last message was sent 2 days before she handed me those papers. Troy wrote that he could not wait to begin their new life together. Diana replied with a simple heart emoji. I sat in the dark, reading and rereading those emails until my eyes burned. The betrayal was not just that she left. It was that she had been planning it for months, lying to my face every single day. Every late night at work, every business trip, every distant weekend had been spent with him. She had checked out of our marriage long before she handed me that envelope, and I had been too trusting, too naive to see it. I felt like the biggest fool in the world. The first month after discovering the truth was the darkest period of my life. I signed the divorce papers and sent them to her lawyer, wanting the whole thing finished as quickly as possible. There was no point in fighting. She had made her choice clear. I went through my days like a ghost, working just enough to keep my job but barely present in any real way. My apartment, once a home, became a place I simply existed in. Dishes piled up in the sink. Laundry sat in baskets for weeks. I stopped answering calls from friends who wanted to check on me. What could I possibly say to them? My best friend Kyle refused to let me disappear completely. He showed up at my door one evening with beer and takeout, refusing to leave until I talked to him. We sat on my couch, and I told him everything. About the emails about Troy, about feeling like I had wasted 3 years of my life on someone who had been lying to me for the last 8 months of it. Kyle listened without interrupting, then put his hand on my shoulder. Clement, listen to me. You did not waste anything. You loved someone honestly. She is the one who threw that away, not you. You deserve so much better than what she gave you. His words helped a little, though I was not sure I believed them yet. The second month, something in me shifted. I woke up one morning and looked around my apartment with disgust. This was not who I wanted to be, someone drowning in his own misery. Diana had taken enough from me. I was not going to let her take my future too. I started small. I cleaned my apartment top to bottom, threw out things that reminded me of her rearranged furniture so the space felt different. I joined a gym near my building and started going every morning before work. The physical exhaustion helped quiet my mind. I began accepting invitations from Kyle to hang out with his friends. They were mostly people from our tech industry, young engineers and developers who spent weekends working on side projects and arguing about programming languages. One of those weekends, Kyle invited me to a hackathon where a group was building open-source tools for nonprofits. I almost said no, but something pushed me to go. The energy there was infectious. People were passionate about using their skills to help others, and for the first time in months, I felt excited about something. I started contributing to the project, spending my evenings writing code and collaborating with people who shared my interests. My work performance improved too. My boss noticed and called me into her office. She said my recent projects had been exceptional and offered me a promotion to senior engineer with a significant raise. I accepted, feeling a small spark of pride return. By the third month, I was living a different life entirely. I moved to a new apartment, smaller but brighter, with big windows that let in morning Sunday. I decorated it exactly how I wanted, with bookshelves full of technical manuals and a desk where I could work on my coding projects. I hiked with Kyle and his friends most weekends, pushing myself up mountain trails until my legs burned and my lungs ached in the best way. The physical challenge matched the emotional work I was doing inside. I was learning to be alone without being lonely, to enjoy my own company again. The open source project grew, and our team expanded. That is when I met Jessica. She was a front-end developer with sharp wit and an easy laugh. We bonded over our shared frustration with inefficient code and love of obscure science fiction novels. We started getting coffee after our coding sessions, talking about everything from artificial intelligence to our favorite hiking spots. It was not romance, not yet, but it was connection. It reminded me that I could still meet people, still form bonds, still look forward to something. The divorce was finalized during this time. I received the final papers in the mail and felt nothing but relief. That chapter was closed. Then on a Saturday night in the 4th month, everything changed again. I had been out with Kyle and some friends, celebrating another successful milestone in our project. I came home around 11, tired but content, thinking about what I would work on tomorrow. As I walked down the hallway to my new apartment, I saw someone sitting on the floor by my door. As I got closer, my heart stopped. It was Diana. She looked nothing like the woman who had walked out of my life. Her hair hung limp and unwashed. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. Her clothes were wrinkled like she had been wearing them for days. She looked up when she heard my footsteps, and I saw her face was swollen from crying. She scrambled to her feet, stumbling slightly. "Clement," she said, her voice breaking. "Please, I need to talk to you." I stood there, frozen, my keys still in my hand. Part of me wanted to turn around and walk away, but I could not move. Diana started talking fast words, tumbling over each other. I made a horrible mistake. Troy left me. Everything fell apart. I have nobody else. You have to help me. I just stared at her, trying to process what was happening. She told me she had gone to California with Troy like they planned. The first few weeks were wonderful, everything she thought she wanted. Then things changed. Troy became controlling, insisting she quit her job and stay home. He criticized everything she did, her clothes, her friends, how she spent her time. She discovered he was still married, just separated, using her to make his wife jealous. When his wife decided she wanted to reconcile, Troy told Diana to leave. He gave her a few $100s and told her to figure it out. Diana had nowhere to go. She tried calling her parents, but they refused to answer after she had cut them off months earlier. Her friends had moved on, tired of her flaky behavior and lies. She had spent the last 2 weeks couch surfing with acquaintances, but that could not last. She was broke, jobless, and desperate. She found my new address through a mutual friend. I was her last option. She looked at me with those same eyes that used to make me feel like the luckiest person alive. "Please, Clement, I know I hurt you. I know I do not deserve your help. But I have nowhere else to turn. Can we please just talk?" I took a breath, feeling my heart pound in my chest. A small part of me, the part that had loved her for 5 years, wanted to help, wanted to be the good guy who forgave and moved forward. But then I remembered those emails. I remembered sitting alone in our old apartment, reading about how boring she found me, how exciting Troy was, how she could not wait to start her new life. I remembered the months I spent rebuilding myself from nothing. I remembered Jessica's laugh, Kyle's loyalty, the life I had fought so hard to create. I looked at Diana and spoke clearly, my voice steady, in a way that surprised me. Diana, I am sorry about what happened to you with Troy. Nobody deserves to be treated that way. But I cannot help you. You made a choice 4 months ago. You chose to lie to me for 8 months before that. You threw away what we had for someone who promised you something better. I have spent these months healing, building a new life, learning to respect myself again. I am not going to throw that away now. I reached into my wallet and pulled out a card for a local organization that helps people in crisis. They have resources, temporary housing, job placement services. They can help you get back on your feet. I wish you the best, I really do, but I cannot be part of your life anymore. I unlocked my door and stepped inside. Diana stood in the hallway, tears streaming down her face, saying my name over and over. I closed the door gently but firmly. I heard her crying outside for another 10 minutes, before her footsteps finally faded down the hallway. I stood with my back against the door, my hands shaking slightly, but my resolve solid. I had done the right thing, not because I wanted revenge or to hurt her back, but because I had learned something crucial over these 4 months. I had learned that loving yourself sometimes means walking away from people who could not love you properly the first time. That night, I sat in my apartment for a long time, processing what had just happened. I did not feel angry or victorious. I did not feel guilty either. I just felt free, free from the what-ifs, free from the lingering hope that maybe she would come back and things could be different. She had come back, and I had chosen myself. That choice felt more powerful than anything else. I called Kyle the next morning and told him what happened. He was quiet for a moment, then said simply, "I am proud of you, man. That took real strength." Life continued moving forward. The open source project I had been working on launched successfully, getting attention from several major tech companies. My company promoted me again, this time to a team lead position. Jessica and I started dating officially, taking things slow, and building something based on honesty and mutual respect. She knew about Diana, about everything that happened, and never judged me for it. We hiked mountains together, cooked elaborate meals in my tiny kitchen, stayed up late, talking about our dreams for the future. It was different from what I had with Diana. It was better because it was real. I heard through mutual friends that Diana had connected with that crisis organization I recommended. They helped her find temporary housing and a job at a local retailer. She was slowly rebuilding her life. I was glad she was okay, genuinely. But I did not reach out, and she did not contact me again. Our paths had diverged completely, and that was how it needed to be. Some endings are necessary for new beginnings to take root. Months turned into a year. I stood on a mountain summit one Saturday morning with Jessica and Kyle, looking out over the valleys below. The air was crisp and clear, and I felt grateful in a way I had not experienced in years. Grateful for the pain that taught me strength. Grateful for the darkness that showed me I could find my own light. Grateful for the betrayal that led me to value honesty above all else. I had loved Diana fully, and she had chosen to throw that away. But in doing so, she had accidentally given me the greatest gift. She forced me to discover who I was without her, and that person was someone I actually liked. I learned that forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. You can forgive someone for hurting you while still choosing not to let them back into your life. I learned that closure does not come from the other person. It comes from within, from deciding that you deserve better, and then actually believing it. I learned that loving someone is not enough if they do not love you back with the same honesty and commitment. And most importantly, I learned that the relationship you have with yourself sets the standard for every other relationship in your life. When you truly value yourself, you stop accepting crumbs from people who should be giving you the whole meal. Diana came back because she had no other options, not because she realized my worth, and recognizing that difference saved me from making the same mistake twice. Sometimes people do not appreciate what they have until it is gone. But by then you have already moved on and found something better. Not because you were trying to prove anything to them, but because you finally understood what you deserved all along. So here I am, now living a life I built from scratch after everything fell apart. It is not perfect. Some days are still hard. I still have moments where I wonder what would have happened if I had made different choices. But then I look at where I am, at the people who stood by me, at the person I became through the struggle, and I know without question that I am exactly where I am supposed to be. The pain was worth it. The heartbreak was worth it, because it led me here to this version of myself that knows his value and will never settle for less again. What would you have done if someone who hurt you deeply came back asking for help? Would you have opened that door or closed it like I did? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about growth and resilience. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they deserve better. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that endings, even painful ones, can lead to beautiful new beginnings. Take care of yourselves, and remember that you are worth more than someone's backup plan. You deserve to be someone's first choice every single time.